Every API ends up needing a settings page where users can mint their own keys, but the list of things to get right when you do that is actually pretty long. Hash on write, never store plain text, reveal once, mask forever, edge revocation, and each one of these is in itself a small project, and together they're actually a pretty big one that you've got to make sure that you get right. If you use Zuplo's developer portal, you already get all of this out of the box. Users can sign in, mint their keys, and the whole flow is just handled. But not everybody wants their keys to be there. Sometimes the API keys page belongs inside your own application, next to billing and team settings, but most of all it belongs inside of your design system and behind your own authentication. Well, the good news is that you can build exactly that against the same APIs that Zuplo's portal uses, and you get the same things for free. Secret scanning, edge revocation, and most of all, a managed key store that you don't have to run. This is what that looks like. Okay, so on the screen here you can see a demo application that I'm going to use to show exactly how this works, and it is a product catalog demo app that allows you to create and manage products. Now, I already have one product set up in here, the manual AI token generator. If I click on this, you can see the details about it. It has a SKU, price, stock, description, and created and updated dates, as you would expect. Now I want to get to the point where I can start adding these via API, and of course thanks to Zuplo I could also do this via MCP as well. But in order to do that I'm going to need an API key. Now the API keys section is already set up inside of this application, and I'm already logged in with an account that I have registered. So if we click on API keys here, what this is going to do first is make a call over to Zuplo to see if there are any API keys inside of the bucket that already map to my identity. And of course at this stage there aren't any, so it's going to ask me to enable API access, which is going to create my first key. So when I click on it, it makes a call over to Zuplo and it sets up a brand new key and associates it with my logged in identity. Now at this point you can see we have the full key here on display. We've also got it prefixed here with the zpka underscore, which is important for GitHub secret scanning. So if this key gets committed into GitHub at some point, GitHub knows about our key structure, so it's going to spot this and it's going to say, hey, you can't do that, you need to revoke this, and it will ensure that you don't end up with keys inside of your source control. Now at this point, this is the only time I'm actually going to be able to see this key on display. So I need to copy it at this point, because as soon as I click on dismiss, it's gone. I'm not going to be able to see it again. All that gets exposed to me at this point is this masked out key right here, which is the only thing that you can actually go ahead and store inside of your application. In this case, this product application is just storing this information right here. The key is there, so let's test it and first of all make sure it works. So on the right hand side of the screen we have the actual application here, and this is the API for this app, and it lives inside of Zuplo. And inside of the test route I can go ahead and get the list of products. So if I paste in that particular key and send over this request, what I get back is an explosion of joy and the actual product that we have created here. So we've got the manual AI token generator, which maps to the manual AI token generator that we can see inside of the app. The next thing is we want to have some more functionality, and when you're managing API keys, obviously, at this point I've got one, but I copied it and maybe I never put it inside of the application, maybe I forgot to do something with it, maybe I lost it, whatever. I can't see it again, so I need my API key. What am I going to do? I have a couple of options here. So what I could do is come in here and just create another key and say I need it from my CI pipeline. This time we'll create that key, and once again I see the key at this point and I can go ahead and I can copy it, and at this point dismiss it, and then it's never visible to me again. So let's hope this time I actually did something with it. Now what I'm going to do at this point is say this key is not something that I want to use anymore, so we're just going to revoke that immediately. Now let's go over to the application API here and make that same request with the API key that we had initially, and try it again, and we see this time that the authorization has failed, and that's because the key that I'm using no longer exists. If I change that key out for the one that I just created for CI and make the request, it lets me write through because that is the only valid key that is assigned to me at this time. Now, there's one other access method here that I want to show you, and that is the ability to actually roll the keys. So you can do this here. And this again comes as part of the Zuplo APIs for API key management. You can implement this really easily. I want to do this as with a grace period. So when you're rolling a key, you can say, okay, look, I want to change this key, but I want to leave this key active for a certain period of time, whilst the other key will also be active as well. Now, the grace period here, you can determine however you like. So you've got immediately, 1 hour, 24 hours, or 7 days. So if I take the CI key and then I say, okay, well, you know what? I want to roll this immediately. So you could do this rather than doing revocation as well. So let's roll that. We'll grab the new key and then go over to Zuplo and make the request. We can see that it is no longer working. So I have my new key right here. Let's swap this one out. So the old one has now been rolled and this one now works. So I've got the old key that I can then get rid of. This old CI one, I don't need it anymore, so we get rid of that, and now we're using the new rolled key. And if later on I have some kind of pattern as well, like I want to roll keys every 7 days or something along those lines, then I could do that and set it kind of up in advance if I want to, but you've got the ability to roll these keys however you like. 7 days from now, if I click on that, you go to roll key, then we can see I have the new key. I need to copy it at this point. This one will be immediately active, and then the old key will continue to work up until 7 days from this point, at which point it will not work anymore and it will have expired. It can just live in here if you want it to, or you can come back and go ahead and revoke it. And we can see that the new key that I created here absolutely still works, which is awesome. So we can go through, revoke all of these keys because we don't want to leave them around even for demo purposes. And from that point, I would not be able to access the API whatsoever. So that is the whole end-to-end addition of API keys inside of an application using Zuplo's API key management APIs. Now, this is a really lightweight implementation, to be honest. It's really just HTTP requests and JSON. So regardless of what it is that you're using, now this application is just a very basic TypeScript application, but it could be a big Go application, it could be a Rails monolith, it could be PHP. It really doesn't matter. You're just making HTTP calls to an API endpoint in order to manage all of this, but it allows you to present a really nice clean experience inside of your dashboard for your users, and you don't have to go through the process of building out all of the other elements that Zuplo brings to this, like the key store, secret scanning, the leak detection that comes with that, and all of the extra elements of kind of managing API keys properly you get just by implementing a small set of APIs. So it's actually a very lightweight implementation and it's very quick to do. There's 2 links in the description. The first is for a blog post that outlines everything that we've just gone through, including all of the API calls that you need to make to implement that whole working system. And the second is for an example repository that contains that demo application, so you can use it as a core code reference to see exactly how everything fits together. Now, remember, if all you're really looking for is documentation and API keys, then the Zuplo developer portal is probably the way to go. But if you are looking to put API keys inside of your application, then I would recommend going down this route because there's a lot of additional effort that you will not have to go through if you use the APIs from Zuplo. All you need to do is implement that and you'll have a fully working system with a lot of additional protections, and all you need to do is bring the design. I hope this was useful. Check out the references and I'll see you in the next one.